And we're back! Hello there! We're back to the previous setup. There's a little bit of a slight delay in the way that videos come out, and as I was editing the previous video, the one in regards to the hardest part of the first draft, I realized that the setup wasn't ready. It needed a little bit more in the oven. Like a few more hours in there. And it was just a bit of a test to see how things would look like. And I'm back though. I'm back on the regular setup. I know that it's kind of just like the room/office, and it's not very exciting, but at least the lighting here is pretty controlled now. It's crazy, because it's looking like videos used to look back in the day. And I'm pretty happy with that. But anyhow, hello there! In case you're unfamiliar with my stuff, my name is Max, also known as MKaren, and this is my channel where I talk about writing advice, my own experience, and I offer writing advice and inspiration along the way. Today we're going to be talking about handwriting versus typing. Doing your writing by hand versus doing it on the computer, on the laptop, and so forth. If anyone remembers my old writing advice videos, I used to be of a completely different mindset, and the year of 2017, for better or worse, has really changed my view on things. So I kind of wanted to make this update video on my thoughts. What do I think about handwriting versus typing? But before I go anywhere, two real quick things. First off, I take questions from the comments, and I also go out of my way to answer them. So if you have a writing advice question, I'll give you a quick reply, and it may also get featured in a future video. Number two, the following you're about to hear is nothing but my advice, my opinion, and what works for me. Don't take it as gospel. Instead, take it as the ramblings of a silly person who's got a slowpoke on their shoulder. I almost forgot the slowpoke. Oh my god, I love this little guy. Wow. I'm looking at the preview window. It looks just like it used to, except for the background. But it's almost like we're back. It's almost like we're back, you guys. Also, 2 videos this week. Did I mention that? Yeah. Okay. Silliness out of the way. Let's take it from the top. First off, first point on the list. What did I used to think about handwriting versus typing? What was Max's thoughts on handwriting? Circa 2012 through 2016. Well, back in those days, I used to be focused a lot on just getting stories out there, publishing as many stories as I could. And that's not to say I'm not doing that, but the year of 2017, really the end of 2016 and all of 2017, has really brought to attention several things for me. And the following is about to get #real. I have anxiety, and I found that typing on the keyboard became really hard. Not only because of the state of the world and the things that are particularly close and dear to my heart and the people around me, and the ongoing social flux. All that stuff was kind of bleeding into my mindset while I was writing, and I found that I would spend most of my time at the desk backspacing. I would just, and I'm ashamed because I put up that clip. I wasn't happy with it, but I put it up. I put it up on Twitter, and I put it up in the audio log called Heatwave, I think. I show a clip of myself typing, and the most astute of you might have noticed that I'm smacking that backspace key like literally every 3 seconds. And that's normal. It's absolutely normal, especially when you're typing fast like I would do. You know, you make mistakes, or you realize that you're not phrasing things the way you want to phrase them, so you backspace. Of course you do. And there's nothing wrong with backspacing. I want to make it very clear right now. I used to type a lot, and I used to get a lot of typing done, and the reason why I love typing was twofold. One, I could do it very quickly. I could do it without prep. There were times when I would have 10 minutes on my break at work, and I would just pull out my phone with a Bluetooth keyboard, and I would just type away for 10 minutes. Done. And I have been known for sometimes at the bus station just pulling on my phone and just typing on the phone. Literally opening up my Evernote first draft, and then just typing on my phone. Just to get some more words in there. And that was completely fine. And I could do that. But with all these worries and with all 2017, it's been hard. I've been spending most of my time when typing, backspacing, second-guessing myself, doubting myself, saying a sentence, and then in the middle of finishing the sentence, realizing that I wasn't sure what I was saying. So before I even gave the sentence a chance to shine, a chance to get to where it needs to be, I would just cut it off. And for those of you wondering, yes, this is incredibly close to the idea of self-editing as you go. And as you can imagine, it wasn't very productive. I started a bunch of stories, and I finished none of them. And primarily because I could not get over the first few sessions of writing. Because every time I would take a couple steps forward, I would take a few steps back. Write a couple words, write a couple sentences, a line of dialogue, go back. Retrace that description. Retrace what I'm trying to say at this moment. And of course, this is not the fault of typing, but it's, I guess, the fault of my current mental state and my own way of telling stories right now. Again, the good things about writing are the fact that you can just do it. You just sit down and just get it done. And, of course, it's saved digitally. And if you have a companion program like Evernote, boom, your stuff is saved online. That's awesome. That means that when, in the case of something happening, like, for instance, your computer dying, your work is saved. And you're not losing it. And that writing is forever saved. In the past, I would always, whenever asked, Max, which is the best? Max, what do you like the most? Handwriting or typing? And I would always say typing, because it felt more effective up here in my lazy brain. Because rewriting all of your stuff is just so much work. Why not just type it? Why not be super totalitarian about everything? And I'm not being judgmental. I'm actually just kind of making fun of myself, because I tend to be very utilitarian sometimes. But that's what I used to think. That's what I used to think. I'm like, you're gonna end up typing it eventually, so why not just start with the first draft being typed? That was my mentality back then. And I'm not saying the mentality is wrong. It worked it worked until it stopped working for me. Now, what do I feel now? Because back then, I was all like, typing is the best, it saves you time, you save your stuff digitally, on the cloud, on a USB, on multiple sources, you never lose it, your writing's there. What downsides are there to it? And, of course, it's not good versus bad. I think it's one good versus another good, as per my thoughts now. What do I think about handwriting? Because I've been doing a lot of handwriting. I started this year doing a lot of handwriting, just to help me put words on the page. And you may be thinking, I mean, like, yeah, I understand, writing by hand, but what's the immediate benefit versus just typing? Like, how are you not backspacing when you're writing by hand? And the answer is, there's something, I don't want to make it mystical, but there's something satisfying about just scratching words on the page, about adding them one by one, about, instead of just racing to put words out there, I don't want to say that I'm thinking thoughts before I put them on the page. I'm not doing that. But it feels more like putting brick by brick by brick. The words feel tangible, the words have weight to them, the words are on the page. And if I want to go back, I have to scratch them off, and every time that instinct comes, that feeling of, well, I guess I should just dump this entire sentence, my brain instead does a little bit of judgment. It's like, okay, well, I could just scratch all of that, but that's wasted space on the page. Can I salvage this sentence? Can I cross something out? And most of the time, instead of just scratching entire sentences, I end up just scratching a word or two, or pulling out my red pen and just adding notes on top of it, just to kind of salvage the sentence. And some of you may already be realizing, I've been getting a lot more writing done. It's been a little bit more slow, but I've been finishing things. I've been writing things, and I've been pushing forward, and it's been a delight. It's been my salvation from a year of a lot of bad news, a year of a lot of fear, and a year of a lot of uncertainty and a lot of just kind of feeling helpless and hopeless. Of course, I am blessed with a wonderful circle of friends and a great support system, and of course, as you can see now, I'm living with Kitty, and she means the world to me, and she makes me super happy. So I have a support system, and I'm not all by myself, and I value the great people around me. That's why I kind of want to keep making stories and keep creating things, you know, and maybe in a way help someone else. And halfway through the year, I stopped handwriting. I thought my anxiety had gotten better. I thought that I could get back into things, and it definitely needed a little bit more time in the oven. I wasn't ready, and I felt it, but I didn't want to believe it. If you think that I'm not hard-headed, think again, because I thought I could do it, and I went through that cycle, and you know that cycle. When you start a story, you try, it doesn't work out, you start another story, and another one, and another one, and another one. And then you feel so guilty with all the stories you didn't finish that you're doing that thing where you're like, okay, what if I take this character from this story and this thing from this story? And next thing you know, you have no idea how you got to the story. You have no idea what you're looking at, but you know, it's some sort of chimera. It's got the plot twist of this story and the setting of another, and this character that has gone through like 3 different incarnations, through 3 entirely different universes. And it was at that point where I was at the bottom of the rabbit hole. I didn't know where I was, how I'd gotten here, and what I was looking at. Literally the rabbit hole. I thought, okay, rewind, backstep. Let's just take a second and breathe. And I realized that it wasn't just the typing. I'm not gonna blame it all on typing, because most of it is me. But I realized, okay, let's give handwriting another try. And I've been doing that for several weeks now, and it's been great. It's been a delight. Not only to do that, but also I've been going back to shadow writing. And for those of you who remember from a long time ago, what is shadow writing, Max? Shadow writing is this thing that I created. No one's ever done it before. I'm the sole inventor of it. That's not true. It's just going out to write at coffee shops or places where a person can sit down for a little while in silence and just write. It's been nice. Now that I actually don't live in the middle of nowhere, I can actually just go to coffee shops. I have an Evernote file listing all of the coffee shops around here and all the places I can just sit down and write, arranged by distance and price. Because you always gotta buy something. Never just sit down at a coffee shop and don't buy something. Always buy something, always tip. Those are the rules of shadow writing. But back on subject. I don't know how I got here, but it's fine. What are the immediate upsides of writing by hand? And I guess the immediate downsides. The immediate upsides of writing by hand, in my experience, are how tangible the words feel, how real the words feel, and there's something very satisfying about not only having a notebook that exists, but also having the notes on the margins, having the notes on the top and bottom parts of the page. Don't mind the trash truck just waltzing on by. In regards to handwriting, the tangibility, that's not a real word. The nature in which the words feel tangible, and also the immediate deterrence from just a skipped sentence or just erase all of this. Writing by pen also really helps because the words are there, so you gotta make the most out of the sentence. And if you gotta scratch something out, then figure out a way to make it work, or grab your red pen and write ideas over it. The number of times that instead of erasing a whole sentence or just backspacing away, I have instead just crossed out a word or two with a solution right on top of those. It's countless. It's the difference between night and day. And that has helped me just focus on just continuing to keep writing. Not stopping to double check, not stopping to second guess myself. And it really doesn't encapsulate the nature of how I type sometimes. because those of you that know, whenever I'm typing, I have spell check off. I don't want to see little red lines under the words I'm writing, letting me know that yes, I don't know how to spell apartment, but that's fine, because Max right now doesn't have to get apartment right, doesn't have to get wielding right. Is it the E before the I? I don't know. Revision Max. 3, 4, 6 weeks from now is gonna have to worry about all that, and that's fine. As I've said before, because I know that that the question comes up now. Okay, yeah, Max, you're writing by hand, and one of the pitfalls is that if you lose a notebook, then your work is all gone. My solution for that is just to actually just take snapshots of what I'm writing. That way, it's stored digitally somewhere. But the bigger question is, what are you gonna do for revision? Because you were said before, the whole point of typing is that you don't have to enter it digitally again. And I don't know if it's gonna be a problem. I don't know. I haven't gone through that part of the process yet. But a part of me, I remember listening to some advice from some authors, and I'm thinking that it's probably just gonna be like any other passive revision. It's gonna take me a little while. But I think there's an immediate difference between coming up with something and putting it on the page and literally just transcribing it from one to the other. I will let you know once I make it all the way through, but I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I think any time spent not finishing books, let me rephrase that. I think finishing books, no matter what way they come, is better than not finishing books. As the old saying goes, nothing wastes time like trying to save time. Just get the work done. And that brings us now to the big question. Which do I recommend? Do I think you should be handwriting your first drafts? Do I think you should be typing them away? I think that the best way is the way that works for you. I know. It's a little cliche. I know. The real writing advice was the friends we made along the way. But I mean it. I thought I was all about typing, and then 2017 happened, and I had to find a way to make it work for me. I tried typing, I tried handwriting, and I enjoyed handwriting the most, and it's getting me to finish stories again. And isn't that all that matters? Really? Things missing from this conversation. The idea of what a real writer does. Just write. Whichever works for you, do just that. And I'm not saying that this is a one or the other thing, because there's other ways of doing this that I haven't mentioned, such as like voice to text. That's actually the way that I think I'm gonna end up converting the handwriting into digital. I may actually just do text to voice to text, but I'll do a video on that later. There are different ways of converting your thoughts, your ideas into a novel, and they're all equally valid. The best one for you is the one that gets you to finish the story. Okay? Okay. And can you hear the trash truck outside? It's coming to get me. Yep. Max, we heard you were trashed here. So get in the truck, and I'm just like, it's true. Hey there, everybody. Max here. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that if anything, I gave you another point of view. I would love to hear what you have to say. Do you have any advice for writing by hand? Any tips for typing? What is your experience? What works for you? Let us know in the comments down below. If you have a chance, actually let us know, because people are reading those comments. And someone out there maybe... I'm almost done. You can pick me up in a second. Someone out there may be looking for a little bit of information or a little bit of advice, and your comment may be the one that helps them. So, there you go. For the time being, as we are closing things up, I want to again remind you that I take questions from the comments, so if you have a question, leave it in the comments down below. And of course, as we're rolling to the outro, a bunch of bullet quick, machine gun quick, a barrage of quick things. First and foremost, I have a Twitter account. You can follow it for silly updates and whatever I'm reading / playing at the moment. Right now, it's Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, so a lot of me just sneaking around, making jokes about taking guards out. That's my life right now. Additional to that, I also, if you are looking for a way to support me, or if you really enjoy this content and want a little more, check out my Patreon. You can watch my videos a whole week in advance. A whole week for just $1 a month. There's that. Also, if patrons want your cup of coffee, how about a cup of tea instead? One-time donation, link in the description down below. And now, as we have arrived at the outro, I want to let you know that on the screen right now, there's a playlist of writing advice videos, a button to subscribe, a link to my Patreon, and, of course, a link to my other channel with my best friend Kitty, where we play games and are very, very, very silly people. Even sillier than this. For now, I hope this video helped. I really do that. I really hope that it helped. And I hope that if someone out there is dealing with anxiety and writing has been really hard and you've been just backspacing, maybe this will give you another way to look at things. Okay? Until then, until we meet again, take care, and I'll see you on the next one.